I still remember the exact moment I realized humanity was completely, utterly insane. My name is Vorlix, and I serve as the xenobiological liaison aboard the Galactic Council's diplomatic vessel, the Harmonious Accord. 23 cycles of service, 47 first contact scenarios, and not once, not a single time, had I encountered a species quite like these pink-skinned, bipedal lunatics called humans. It started innocently enough. We were hosting a routine cultural exchange seminar in Conference Hall 7, a thoroughly boring affair where species share their customs, dietary preferences, and pet peeves. Literally. The topic of the day was domesticated companion animals. The Vrelian ambassador, a gelatinous blob named Quilmex, was presenting holographic images of his species' preferred pets, small, floating jellyfish-like creatures that hummed pleasant melodies and required minimal care. Safe. Sensible. Sane. Then came the human delegation. Their representative, a woman named Captain Morgan Vex, stood up with what I can only describe as a predatory grin. She was tall for her species, with copper-colored hair tied back in a practical knot, and eyes that sparkled with barely contained mischief. "Thank you, Ambassador Quilmex," she said, her voice dripping with what humans call politeness, but what I recognized as thinly veiled amusement. "Your singing jellies are absolutely adorable. Now, let me show you what we consider pets." The first hologram materialized above the conference table. A creature. 4 legs. Massive jaws filled with teeth designed for tearing flesh. Eyes that reflected light, like a nocturnal predator. Muscles rippling beneath a short coat of fur. "This," Morgan announced cheerfully, "is a dog. Specifically, a German Shepherd. We keep them in our homes. They sleep in our beds. Children play with them." Silence. Complete, total, horrified silence. The Quilmex blob actually shuddered, which is quite a feat for a species without bones. "That is clearly an apex predator," he gurgled. "You keep apex predators as pets?" Morgan's grin widened. "Oh, that's not even the good part. Dogs are descendants of wolves. You know, pack hunters that used to hunt our ancestors. Yeah, we domesticated those about 15,000 years ago. Now they help us hunt other things." I felt my 3 stomachs churn in unison. "Next slide," Morgan continued, clearly enjoying our collective discomfort. A feline appeared. Smaller than the dog, but somehow more terrifying. Green eyes. Retractable claws. An expression that suggested it was perpetually plotting murder. "This is a cat," Morgan explained. "They are obligate carnivores. They kill for fun, actually. They'll hunt and kill small animals even when they are not hungry, just for entertainment. We let them roam freely in our homes. Sometimes they knock our belongings off high surfaces while maintaining direct eye contact. We think it's cute." "You think predatory aggression is cute?" I blurted out, unable to contain myself. Morgan looked directly at me, and I swear her smile could have cut through hull plating. "Absolutely. Wait, it gets better. Better. How could this possibly get better?" The hologram shifted again. This time, an 8-legged creature appeared, covered in hair, with multiple eyes and venomous fangs. "Some humans keep spiders as pets," Morgan said casually, as if she was discussing the weather. "Tarantulas, specifically. Yes, they are venomous. Yes, they can bite. Yes, people let them crawl on their hands and faces. There's actually a whole community of spider enthusiasts who breed them." The Vrelian ambassador made a sound like a clogged drain. The Zephyrite delegate, a crystalline being who rarely showed emotion, actually flickered with alarm. "Why?" I demanded. "Why would you do this?" Morgan shrugged. "They are interesting. Misunderstood. Most species fear what they don't understand. Humans. We adopt it, study it, give it a name, and post pictures of it on the internet. The what? Never mind. Not important right now." She advanced to the next hologram. "Now, some humans take it a step further. We keep snakes. Reptilian predators. Some are constrictors that can squeeze the life out of prey 3 times their size. Others are venomous enough to kill a full-grown human in minutes. People keep them in glass containers in their living rooms." I was gripping the edge of my seat with all 4 of my manipulator appendages. This was madness. This was beyond madness. This was a species that had apparently looked at every dangerous creature on their planet and thought, you know what? Friend-shaped. "But surely," Quilmex burbled nervously, "surely you have regulations. Safety protocols. Strict containment procedures." Morgan laughed. Actually laughed. It was a warm, genuine sound that somehow made the entire situation more disturbing. "Oh, we have regulations. But here's the thing. Some people ignore them. We call them exotic pet owners. They keep alligators, crocodiles, bears, tigers, wolves, all sorts of megafauna that could easily kill them. There was a guy in Texas who kept a 500-pound tiger in his apartment. It lived there for 2 years before anyone noticed. How is your species still alive? I whispered, genuinely baffled. Stubbornness, mostly, Morgan replied. Plus, we're really good at convincing ourselves that rules don't apply to us personally. It's kind of our thing. The conference room erupted in overlapping voices. The Quilmex blob was attempting to file an immediate safety complaint. The Zephyrite delegate was recalculating the threat assessment of human colonization efforts. A small, furry representative from the Micron cluster had fainted and was being attended to by medical personnel. Morgan waited patiently for the chaos to subside, still wearing that infuriating smile. Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished gelatinous beings, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. I understand your concern. Really, I do. But here's what you need to understand about humans. We don't just keep dangerous pets because we're suicidal. We keep them because we see something in them that others don't. Loyalty. Beauty. Potential. We have this weird ability to look at a creature designed by evolution to kill us and think, yeah, but what if we were friends instead? That's insanity, I stated flatly. Maybe, Morgan agreed. But it's worked out pretty well for us so far. Dogs became our companions, protectors, helpers. Cats became our pest control and emotional support animals. Even the spiders and snakes teach us about biology, ecology, respect for nature. We learn from the things that scare us. She paused, and her expression shifted slightly. The smile remained, but something else crept into her eyes. Something that made my survival instinct scream. Of course, she continued softly, we're not just talking about pets today, are we? The real question you're all dancing around is this. If humans are crazy enough to keep apex predators as pets, what else are they crazy enough to do? The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Every being present suddenly understood that we'd been having two conversations simultaneously. The surface conversation about pets, and a much deeper, more unsettling conversation about human nature itself. You want to know what really makes us human? Morgan asked, her voice barely above a whisper, but somehow filling the entire space. It's not that we keep dangerous pets. It's that we look at danger itself and ask, how can I use this? How can I partner with this? How can I make this work for me instead of against me? She tapped the holographic projector one more time. Which brings me to the real reason I'm here today. You asked about our pets. But you haven't asked about what we ride. The hologram changed. What appeared above the conference table was massive. Muscular. 4 legs ending in hooves that could crush bone. A long face with eyes positioned for maximum peripheral vision, the mark of a prey animal, except this prey animal was easily 6 times the mass of a human. Powerful enough to kick with lethal force. Fast enough to outrun most predators. This, Morgan announced, is a horse. I stared at the creature, my mind struggling to process what I was seeing. You ride these? I asked weakly. Oh yes, Morgan confirmed. For thousands of years. We use them for transportation, agriculture, sport, companionship. We climb onto their backs, vulnerable and exposed, trusting an animal that could kill us with a single well-placed kick. And you know what? They trust us back. We formed a partnership with these animals that literally changed the course of human history. She leaned forward, resting her hands on the conference table. So yes, we keep dangerous pets. But that's just the beginning. Wait until you see what else we're willing to ride. The presentation ended. I sat there, my mind reeling, trying to comprehend everything I'd just learned. Humans didn't just coexist with danger. They invited it into their homes. They climbed onto its back. They formed bonds with creatures that should, by all logical assessment, view them as either predators or prey, and somehow, impossibly, it worked. Morgan was gathering her materials, preparing to leave, when I called out to her. Captain Vex. This presentation. It was designed to unsettle us, wasn't it? To demonstrate human unpredictability. She turned back, and that smile returned. Full force. Ambassador Vorlix, I have no idea what you're talking about. I was simply sharing information about human culture, as requested. If you found it unsettling, well, that says more about you than it does about us. She walked toward the exit, then paused. Same time tomorrow, she asked innocently. Part 2 of the presentation covers our recreational vehicles, extreme sports, and the fascinating human concept of, and I quote, holding my beer while I do something stupid. Then she was gone, leaving behind a room full of stunned, terrified alien diplomats. I looked at my notes. 23 cycles of service. 47 first contact scenarios. And I'd just realized I didn't understand humanity at all, not even close. I didn't sleep well that night. None of us did. The Quilmex blob spent 6 hours in the meditation chamber, attempting to process the horror of humans willingly cohabitating with apex predators. The Zephyrite delegate filed 3 separate incident reports with the Galactic Council, each one more panicked than the last. The small Micron representative had to be sedated after experiencing recurring nightmares about something called a Rottweiler. I spent the night reviewing everything we knew about humans, which turned out to be significantly less than I'd previously assumed. They were a Class 5 species, meaning they'd achieved faster than light travel without destroying themselves, a rare accomplishment. Their planet, Earth, was a death world by galactic standards. Higher gravity than most habitable planets. Extreme weather patterns. Tectonic instability. An atmosphere with dangerously high oxygen content. And somehow, impossibly, humans had not only survived there but thrived. They'd climbed to the top of their food chain despite lacking natural weapons, armor, venom, or any of the usual advantages. They were relatively slow. Not particularly strong compared to other predators on their world. No claws. No fangs worth mentioning, but they had something else. Persistence. Creativity. An absolutely unhinged willingness to try things that should kill them just to see what happens. And now, Captain Morgan Vex was going to show us what they ride. I arrived at Conference Hall 7 the next morning with a sense of impending doom. The other delegates looked equally disturbed. We'd all silently agreed to attend, if only to understand exactly what level of insanity we were dealing with. Morgan arrived precisely on time, carrying the same holographic projector, and wearing the same dangerous smile. Today she was accompanied by another human, a muscular man with dark skin and a closely shaved head who introduced himself as Lieutenant Jackson Torres. "Good morning, everyone," Morgan said cheerfully, as if she hadn't psychologically traumatized us all yesterday. "I hope you're ready for part 2. Today's topic is human transportation and recreation. Or as we like to call it, increasingly creative ways to almost die." Torres chuckled. "She's not exaggerating. Let's start simple," Morgan continued, activating the projector. "Yesterday we discussed horses. 1,000-pound animals we climb onto and trust with our lives. But humans being humans, we looked at horses and thought, you know what would make this better? Speed." The hologram showed a sleek, mechanical contraption. 2 wheels. An engine. No protective shell. No safety barriers. Just a human straddling a machine that appeared to be mostly engine with a token seat attached. "This is a motorcycle," Morgan explained. "It can travel at speeds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. There's no protective cage. No airbags. No crumple zones. If you crash, you're hitting the ground at lethal velocity with nothing but a helmet and leather clothing between you and the pavement. Humans call this fun." "Fun?" I squeaked. "You call high-speed unprotected collisions fun?" "Oh absolutely," Torres interjected. "There's a whole culture around it. Motorcycle clubs. Racing circuits. Some people customize their bikes to go even faster, just because they can." "But why?" the Quilmex ambassador gurgled. "What purpose does this serve?" Morgan shrugged. "Freedom. Thrill. The wind in your hair. That moment when you're leaning into a turn at 160 kilometers per hour and you feel completely alive. It's hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it." The hologram shifted. Now it showed a human suspended beneath a fabric wing, soaring through the air with nothing but wind currents keeping them aloft. "Paragliding," Morgan announced. "Humans strap themselves to fabric and jump off mountains. We use thermal air currents to stay airborne. Sometimes for hours. Sometimes in weather that could kill us." "You have aircraft," the Zephyrite delegate flickered urgently. "Why would you use fabric wings?" "Because aircraft are boring," Torres replied matter-of-factly. "Where's the challenge? Where's the connection with the environment? Paragliding is just you, the wind, and gravity. It's pure. It's suicidal," I muttered. "Only if you mess up," Morgan said with a wink. The presentation continued. Each new image more disturbing than the last. Humans on boards, sliding down snow-covered mountains at breakneck speeds. Skiing and snowboarding, Morgan called it. One wrong move meant broken bones or worse, and yet millions of humans did this recreationally. Humans throwing themselves out of perfectly functional aircraft with nothing but a fabric parachute. Skydiving. Some did it in formation, dozens of humans holding hands while plummeting toward the ground at terminal velocity. Some waited until the last possible second to deploy their parachutes, a practice called swooping that had apparently killed numerous participants over the years. And yet, Morgan noted, more people sign up every single day. Humans climbing sheer rock faces with minimal equipment. Free climbing, where the only thing between them and a fatal fall was finger strength and determination. Torres helpfully mentioned that his sister had summited something called El Capitan using only her hands and feet, a 3,000-foot vertical rock wall with no safety rope.